Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Angel from Simply Angel Tia. In this video I'm going to show you guys how to crochet this bucket hat here, and as you guys can see, it's very simple. The yarn is not very chunky, it's just thick enough that it creates a good warm barrier between you and the wind, especially since the winters are coming up and we're in the fall now, so the weathers are starting to just be cool in general. So yeah, this is something that you can whip in a couple of hours and you'll be able to wear it the next day. So yeah, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay my lovelies, so for this project I'm gonna be using this yarn. This is actually Red Heart. I don't have the label for it, so I don't have all the information that pertains to this yarn, but it's 100% acrylic. I know that, and I know it's a medium weight number 4. And as you can see, it has this gray weaved in strand that goes into the white, and I like these a lot. I know sometimes using these light colors to do a tutorial is not very visible in terms of details, but I do like this yarn a lot. I just don't have the label for it, but I know 100% it's Red Heart, and I know it's 100% acrylic, and I know that it's a medium weight number 4. So for this tutorial you can obviously use any yarn that you prefer. I'm going to be using a 5mm crochet hook, which is H8 US, and of course I'm going to have a scissors laying around so I can have that to cut my strands whenever it's time to cut my strands. And I always, this is just a tip, I'm not even probably going to use this, but I always make sure I have these guys laying around, because you never know when you need to just kind of mark a spot of your project to make sure you don't forget, whether it's to change a stitch or whatever the case is. So I always have these guys laying around for that reason. Okay, all right, so with all of that said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay my lovelies, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with making this bucket hat. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we leave a little bit of a hanging, I guess, string, just so you don't run out, because with this project we're going to be starting by doing a magic circle, and often if you kind of work from it from here, you can easily run out of the hanging chain there. So what I do is I just give myself enough so that I don't run out of it. Okay, so we're going to start by doing like I said, a magic circle. And I don't do a lot of projects where I use this type of a start, so just pay attention so that I can explain to you how I do it. And of course you can do that however you'd like to do it usually. Okay, all right, so for magic circle, so I just literally start like I do a slip stitch, but except when I put my crochet hook here and I yarn over and I pull through, that's a slip stitch. But for the magic circle, I make the circle bigger to begin with, and then I put my hook through the hole, I yarn over, I bring it through, and I leave it like that. That is my magic circle. The way some people do it is they do a chain of 4 or 5, and then they join the two sides of the chain to make a circle in the middle. I don't do it like that because I like to pull the string at the end to completely close this circle, and it goes all the way and closes it. And often when I try to do the other way of doing a chain and then joining this chain, the small chain on both sides, when I pull it, I find that I cannot really close the hole completely. So that is the only reason I don't do it that way. Okay, so with this, so I'm gonna now go and show you how to start this project. So the first thing that I'm gonna do here with holding the hole still open is I'm going to do a chain of 1. Okay, this is not gonna count as a stitch, it's just to lock that area in. And so at this point I'm going to start by doing 10 half double crochets into this gap here. So I'm going to start by yarning over, going into the hole, bringing it back. I have 3 loops on the hook, I yarn over, I go through all 3. That's a half double crochet. So that's 1, and then I'm going to repeat that 9 more times to make it 10. And this is going to be the first row of this project. Okay, so go ahead and do your 10. When you have that completed, come back and I will show you guys how to start row 2. Okay, so that is my 10 half double crochets into the magic circle here. And as you can see, I still have that string that was following my work as I go around. And you can just pull this as you want, but right now I'm not gonna fully close it because we're gonna count to make sure I actually have 10, because if you don't, you need to do more into the circle. If you have more, then you can undo some. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So I do have 10. So what I will do here is I will join the two sides so that I can close the circle. So I'm going to slip stitch on top of the first stitch that we made here. Okay, just give me 1 second. I need to make sure that that is actually going through properly. So just like that, I slip stitch, and now I have a full complete circle. Now I can pull this to close. So as you can see, I have fully closed it. Like it's gone. Like the hole is completely gone. Okay. Now for row 2, I am going to do a chain of 1. Again, this chain of 1 does not count as a stitch at all. So don't worry about counting that as a stitch. And what I'm going to do in this first stitch here is I'm going to do a half double crochet. Okay, oops, like that. And I'm going to do another one in the exact same stitch. So I'm going to do another half double crochet to make it 2. And this is an increase. We're increasing in this row. And as a matter of fact, we're increasing in every single stitch. So after I've done that, I'm going to move on to the next stitch. And I'm going to do 2 half double crochets in that stitch as well. Okay, and it's going to be tight a little bit because half double crochet stitches are tight. And then you're going to move on to the next stitch, and you're going to do 2 half double crochets in that stitch as well. So again, like I said, you're increasing in every single stitch. And by the end of this row, you go from 10 stitches to 20 stitches because you're doubling up on every single stitch. Okay, so this is what I'm going to ask you guys to do. Go ahead and continue to do 2 half double crochet in every single stitch until you come back here, and by that time count to make sure you have 20 stitches. If you don't, you did something wrong somewhere and we can correct it. If you have 20, then we're gonna go ahead and start row 3 together. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my second row here. I just counted to make sure I have 20 stitches, and I do have 20 stitches, which is correct. So make sure you do the same, please, because if you're missing a stitch, the whole project is going to be completely wonky and you don't want that. Okay, all right, so now that I've completed my 20th stitch here, which is two half double crochets in the same stitch, now I'm going to join it to this other side, and I'm going to go on top of that first half double crochet, and I'm going to slip stitch. Again, you're going to kind of have to work yourself through these tight stitches, and I'm going to slip stitch like that. Okay, so this now completes the row, which is row 2, which is 20 stitches that you've completed. Okay, now for row 3, we're going to increase, but we're not going to increase on every single stitch, but we're going to increase on every other stitch. So which means that we do a chain of 1, and in the next stitch right here, we're going to do a half double crochet, just like that. And then in the next stitch, we're going to do 2 half double crochets in the same stitch. So 1 and 2. Okay, so this is an increase. In the next stitch, we don't increase, we just do 1 half double crochet. In the next stitch after that, we're going to increase by doing 2 half double crochets in the same stitch. So again, in this row here, you're increasing on every other stitch, which means by the end of this row, you should have 30 half double crochet stitches. Okay, now again, continue to do this until you get to the end. When you get to the end, come back. I will show you how to finish this row off and how to start the next row. See you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovely, so I have come to almost the end of this row here, and the reason I stop here is so I can show you guys how to finish this row off, and we can then slip stitch to the other side. And so as you can see here, this is 2 double crochets in the same stitch, and then I have a double crochet here, and so now I have 28 stitches, and we need 30 because this row requires 30 stitches. So in the next stitch, which is the final stitch, I'm going to do 2 double crochets in that same stitch. Okay, so now it pretty much kind of finishes this row like that. Okay, as you can remember, the first stitch that we did on the other side was a stitch of half double crochet, and so now we have 2 half double crochets in the same stitch, just so it continues that pattern. Okay, now we're gonna slip stitch on top of that first stitch on the other side, just like that, and this finishes it off completely. And now we have completed our row 3, and our row 3 has 30 half double crochet stitches all together. Okay, all right, so now we're going to move on to our row 4, and because we're continuing to increase, we're going to increase in after every 2 stitches. Okay, so in the third stitch of every of this row, we're going to be increasing, and this is going to bring our total number of rows to 40 because we're increasing by an extra 10. Okay, so to start that, we're going to do a chain 1, and in the next stitch there, we're going to do a half double crochet. Okay, and in the next stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet, and then now in the third stitch, we're going to do 2 half double crochets. Okay, so increasing in every 2. In the last stitch, we increase every other stitch. In this row, we're increasing every 2 stitches. Okay, and then in the next stitch, we're going to do 1 half double crochet. Then we're going to move over to the next stitch, do 1 half double crochet, and then in the next stitch from that, we're going to do 2 half double crochets in the same stitch. Okay, and then in the next stitch, we're going to do 1 half double crochet in that stitch. In the next stitch, 1 half double crochet, and then in the stitch after that, which is this one, we do 2 half double crochets in that same stitch. Okay, so now you understand what we're doing. We repeat this until we come back here, and by the time you get here, I will come help you finish off so we know how we're working our row, and then I will have you guys we will connect and start the next row together. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so again, I have reached the end of row 4 here, and as you can see, I did 2 half double crochet stitches in this stitch here. Then I have 1 double crochet, 1 half double crochet stitch here, 1 half a double crochet stitch here, and so I have 38 stitches. So now to complete this row, I need to do 2 more here to make it 40. So I'm going to go into that final stitch right here and do 2 half double crochet stitches, and this completes this row. As you remember, we started by doing 2 half double crochets, and each was in its own stitch. Okay, so that kind of continues this pattern, and I'm going to seal this row off by completing a slip stitch to the first stitch on the other side like this. Okay, so right now, as you can see, it looks very flat, and this is usually how you start it. And if you understand the explanation of the sizes, then you can continue to do this to create a wider top, which means when you start to build your bucket hat up this way, then it's going to be bigger. So you can do it smaller. For a small, which is what I'm making, I'm going to increase 1 more time. So I'm going to increase in the next row, and then after that, I'm going to start to alternate the increasing and the non-increasing to start to build my bucket hat up this way. Okay, so I will show you this row here, which is another increase row, and then after that, we're going to do a non-increasing row, and then we're going to do an increase row and then an non-increasing row, and we're going to do that until we have a shape that comes upwards. And then when that's done, we start to create the flare. When your bucket hat kind of start to go outwards, then we're going to create that. Okay, all right, so now for this row 5, I have already done my slip stitching to join these 2 sides here. So now I'm going to do a chain of 1, and in that next stitch here, I'm going to do half double crochet, and then in the next stitch, I do a half double crochet, and in the next stitch, I do a half double crochet, because now we're increasing in every 4th stitch. Okay, because remember the last stitch, we increase in the 3rd stitch. In this one, we're increasing in the 4th stitch. So now in my 4th stitch here, I'm going to do 2 half double crochets in that same stitch. And then I do 3 standalone half double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. And then in the next stitch, I'm going to do 2 half double crochets together, just like that. And then again, just like we did in the previous rows, we are going to continue doing this until we come back to the second last stitch. And when you get there, you come back to the video and I will show you how to finish this row off and connect and then start the next row. And by the end of this row, you should have 50 half double crochet stitches, okay? So make sure you count before you come back to the video, and if it's not, then you need to go back and kind of make sure you match, you see what you did wrong and correct that, okay? All right, see you guys in a bit. My lovelies, so I have completed this 5th row, and as you can see, I just have 1 stitch to go. And again, as you see here, I did 2 half double crochet stitches in this stitch here. Then I have a half double crochet stitch in this stitch, half double crochet stitch in this stitch, and it's the same as this. And so now I'm gonna finish it off by doing 2 half double crochet stitches in this stitch here, and that will complete this 5th row, and that allows me to have 50 stitches all together. Okay, so this is like that, and as you can see, still we're going flat, and I'm going to slip stitch on top of that previous stitch, on top of that previous stitch here. And this will complete this row when I have this like that. Okay, so now this is 50 stitches all together, and so now I'm going to show you how to do a stitch, a row of not increasing at all, and that pretty much means you do a chain 1, and then in every single stitch you do a half double crochet stitch. So at the end of this row you should still have 50 stitches because we haven't increased at all. Okay, so you just go around this and do half double crochet in every single stitch until you get to the end. Okay, so do that. When you have reached the end, make sure you count to make sure you have 50 stitches, and if you don't, please correct that by going back to see where you went wrong, and then come back and I will show you how to do the next row, which is going to be going back to an increase row. And then after that, we're just going to continue to work we're going to continue to work the project until we get to the end. So for now, just finish this row of half double crochet stitches all around until you get back here. Okay, my lovelies, so I am almost at the end of row 5 here, and this is the row where we are not increasing. Sorry, row 6 is the row that we're not increasing. So so now I have 1 final stitch, and I just came back to let you guys know you need to complete this final stitch here, because often it doesn't look like there's not one more stitch to go, but there is. So then you just finish that like this, and then again you slip stitch on the other side to make sure row 6 is locked in and completed. Okay, so now as you can see, if I put my sofa project on the flat on the work table here, you can see it start to curve, and the reason it's curving is because we're not increasing the rows. So when you don't increase, then it starts to curve and it will eventually kind of build up like this. Okay, so now, like I said, this is row 6, and we had in row 5 50 stitches. In row 6 we have 50 because we did not increase, and now in row 7 we're going to go back to increasing a bit. Okay, so we're going to chain 1, and then in this stitch here we're going to do a half double crochet. Okay, and then in the next stitch we're going to do a half double crochet. In the next stitch we're going to do a half double crochet. Okay, so now we have 1 2 3, and in the next stitch we're going to do a half double crochet, and then finally in the next stitch we're going to increase by doing 2 half double crochets in the same stitch. Okay, so this is where we're going to now increase after 4 stitches. So 1 2 3 4 of half double crochets in their own stitches. In the 5th we're going to do an increase by doing 2 half double crochets in the same stitch. And then we're going to move on to the next stitch and do 4 more standalone half double crochets. So that's 1 2 3, oopsie, let's do 3 again, 3 4, and in 5 we increase by doing 2 half double crochets in that same stitch. Okay, so again this is the repeat in this row, and we're going to do this, and at the end of this we're going to end up with 60 stitches all together. Okay, so you continue to do this where you increase after every 4 stitches, you increase in the 5th stitch to do 2 half double crochets. And when you get back to this end here, come back and I will show you how to start the next row. Okay, my lovelies, so I am at the end of my row 7 here, and this is the row where we increase after every 4 stitches. And as you can see here, this is where I increased last, where I did 2 half double crochets in the same stitch, and then I did 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet, and then now in my 5th stitch, say that 10 times faster, it's really hard. And now in my 5th stitch here, I'm going to increase by doing 2 half double crochets in the same stitch. Okay, so I'm going to do it like that, and that kind of finishes this row 7. And then I'm going to slip stitch on top of that previous stitch from the previous row to shut or close the sides like this. And as you can see, it doesn't matter how much I try to straighten this, it's going to curve because we did do a row of not increasing. It's starting to build itself upwards like this. And even more with this next row that we're doing, which is row 8. And in this row 8, we're not increasing at all. So we're going to just do a row of half double crochets all around. So I'm going to do a chain of 1, and in the next stitch I'm going to do a half double crochet. In the next stitch I'm going to do a half double crochet, and in the next stitch, 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 and so on and so forth. And that's going to bring me back here. And as you guys remember, in this row we had I believe 60 stitches altogether. So now this is going to be another row where we continue to have that 60 stitches. Okay, so go ahead and continue to do the non-increase row here, which is just 1 half double crochet per stitch until you get back here. And when you get there, come back to the video and I will show you what to do in the next row. Okay, so see you guys then. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed the 8th row here. I think it's row 8. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Yeah, so this is row 8 and I have completed that. And as you remember, this is a row of not increasing at all, which means in this row I still have 60 stitches as I did in the previous row, which was row 7. Okay, all right, so now that we have completed this row, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch onto this side so we can start our increase row. And this is pretty much going to be our final increase row. No, I'm probably lying, but let me just say this: we're gonna be increasing and then we're gonna be working non-increasing rows for a little bit before we go ahead and continue to probably increase a little bit more. But for now, we're going to work this row where we're going to increase not every couple of stitches, but we're going to extend the increase of the rows. Okay, so we're going to do a chain of 1, and in the next stitch we're going to do half double crochet, and we're going to do this for 9 stitches. So we're gonna go and do 1 2 3 and 9. Okay, so which means in the 10th stitch right here we're going to increase by doing 2 half double crochets in the same stitch, and then we're going to do 9 more isolated half double crochets, which means a half double crochet in every stitch for the 9 stitches. And then in the 10th we're going to increase. So I'm going to show you these guys this part here, and then when we increase I'll have you guys finish the row. Let's see, what do I have? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9. And in the next stitch, which is the 10th stitch, we're going to do 2 half double crochets in the same stitch. Okay, so again, this increase is going to be very, very scattered out. We're increasing in every 10th stitch, so which means we're skipping 9, or not skipping, but we're doing just isolated half double crochet stitches in 9 stitches, and then in the 10th we increase. So go ahead and complete that. When you get to here, come back and I will show you guys what to do next. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed this row, which is our 9th row. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Our ninth row should have 76 stitches altogether, because we did not increase as much this time. We increased after every 9 single spaced half double crochet stitches. Okay. All right, so now that we're here, we're going to pretty much join the two sides here by slip stitching, just like that. And now we're going to do something that is a little bit easier, I guess. You don't have to count too much. And in this section here, you're going to do half double crochet stitches for about 7 rows. Okay, so you're going to not increase at all for the next 7 stitches. So in other words, from row 10 to row 17, you're just doing half double crochet stitches around and around and around, and that's going to build our hat to come up this way. And then after that, on the 18th stitch to however many stitches we want to do from there, we are going to increase, but increase very, very gradually. Okay. All right, so this is also the part of the project where I flip my work like this. As you can see, start to curve. It's easier to work with your work like this than to work with your work on the inside. If you're working like this, I just find it difficult. If it's okay with you, keep it like that. But at this moment, I usually flip my work this way so that I can work with my project like this, and it's easier. Okay, so for this row again, we start by doing a chain of 1, and then pretty much starting this 10th row by doing half double crochets all along until we get to the beginning here, where we're going to slip stitch on top of the stitch of the previous row, the first stitch of the previous row, chain 1, start row 11, do the same thing, and then start row 12, 13, 14, 15 until you get to 17. And then when you've completed that, you come back and we should be able to move on to the next step together. But at this point, because we had 76 stitches all together in the previous row, and in this row you're not increasing at all, then you should end up having 76 stitches for the next 7 rows. Okay, so continue to build up your bucket hat here, and I will see you guys when you have completed the next 7 rows. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked my bucket hat here. So as you can see, I have made a substantial progress here. So I did the 7 stitches, just not increasing at all. I'm just going around. And as you can see, this is pretty much how it looks like. If you put it down like this, this is how my bucket hat looks like. And as you can see, it's starting to build. But now we're going to even expand it further. And to do that, we're going to increase, but we're going to increase very sparsely, I should say. So as you can see, I've done my chain 1. And in the next stitch here, I'm going to do a half double crochet. And I'm going to continue to do these half double crochets all across. Oops, let me just undo this here because this stitch goes into the same one. So I'm going to do my half double crochet in that, because the chain 1 doesn't count as a double crochet. And then I'm going to do half double crochet in the next for the next 10 stitches. So this is 2, so 1 2, and 10, which means in the 11th stitch right here, I'm going to do 2 half double crochets in the same stitch. So that's my increase there. Okay, so I believe in the last row that we increased, we worked and then increased in the 10th stitch. And so this is what we're doing here. So in this row again, every 11th stitch we increase, and in the next row every 12th stitch we increase, every 13th stitch we increase, in the row after that every 14th stitch we increase, and we're going to do that for 7 more rows. Okay, so we're going to increase until we get to 7 more rows after this, which is going to take us to row 24, and then we're going to come back and see how our works looks like, and then we're going to come back and see if it has the right size. If it is, we stop there. If it is not, we increase some more and can continue to work our job a little bit more. Okay, so go ahead and do this, and when you get to row number 24, come back and then I will show you guys what to do after that. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed the 7 rows, so the 7 rows of increasing here. So as you can see, this is pretty much how my bucket hat is starting to look. So it's very nice, it's my size. So I'm pretty much gonna end the video here. So all I have to do is as soon as I find my scissors, I'm gonna cut these here, and I'm just gonna slip stitch here and then weave this end off here. I just don't know where I put my scissors. I misplaced it somewhere, but this is pretty much the project here. So I hope you have something like this. If you do want it to be a little bit more flary down here or bigger, then you would just continue to do the increases from where you stopped off. Just continue to increase from that point on, and you will come up with something that is a little bit wider this way. But I think for me, this one is a perfect size. It's thick enough that I will be able to wear it in the winter, but definitely now that it's fall time, I will be able to wear these as much as I can. Yeah, so this is pretty much the end of the project. I hope you guys enjoyed this with me. It's a simple one, it's a fast one, and it's for you guys, my lovely beginners out there, to just practice doing different things, different clothings with. So I hope this one was for you, and I hope you enjoyed this. So thank you so much again, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.